The other balance, when we say a balanced plate, the balance between alkaline and acidic foods is also important. The reason being, we looked at, of course, reducing insulin resistance, but now you're also focusing on, anti-inflammatory diets. So remember that, while we are consuming very high amounts of proteins, proteins are acidic in nature. So, meat, poultry, fish, dairy, eggs, grains, and alcohol, of course, you have to stay away from. These are acidic foods. So we have to balance them with neutral foods and alkaline foods. And which are the best alkaline foods? And the ones I love the most are fruits, nuts, um, vegetables, and legumes. So make sure that you're balancing these out with them, and also the neutral foods, which are the natural fats. And the good fats have to be consumed. Do not say complete no to starches and sugars, because they do provide you energy. So if you're feeling listless, carbohydrates are needed to keep our body engine going. So we can't stay without carbohydrates. So also balance out our alkaline and acidic foods accordingly. If we are not, in case of PCOS, of course, the inflammation is much higher. So in my practice, I of course use a lot of nutrients, or supplements, which and these are not protein supplements. These are supplements with research from the modern research and the ancient insights as well, where we have our ancient herbs, which can also be extremely effective. So when we are looking at anti-inflammatory agents, the herbals are very, very effective. For example, gugur, which is age-oldly known to actually reduce inflammation, and here I've put the pathway of inflammation. These are different um, pathways of inflammation that happen in our body, and these. So if you look here, this is gugur, this is ginger. Here we have curcumin. All of these type of ingredients can actually bring down inflammation in our body. So the Tanya somnifera, again, which we know as ashwagandha, is also very effective. They of course bring down inflammation in our body. Um, while these ingredients are mostly used for reducing pain and inflammation and joint and bone issues, we must use these ingredients also in our practice, where we are trying to help women with PCOS. Having said that, I also like to talk on de-stress vitamins, because vitamins are extremely important. And why I'm calling that de-stress vitamins is because there is stress when it comes to PCOS. First, when you get those type of symptoms, when you're when the patients are having irregular periods, there is already a chaos. So the hormones are in a chaos. So there is a lot of stress. So vitamins can actually be very useful, and these stress vitamins can actually help you cope with the pressures of everyday life. So, and these include vitamin A, B, C. Vitamin B2, B3, and B6 are also necessary for thyroid hormone production, and B5 is essential for optimal adrenal function, as both imbalances in thyroid function and stress can affect your cycle. So remember that. And B vitamins are found in whole grains, pulses, leafy green vegetables. Also, the antioxidant vitamins A, C, and E, and the minerals zinc and selenium should be consumed. For that, we should also include wide variety of fruits and vegetables in our daily foods, and eat nuts and seeds daily to support mineral level. What we do is, we do not consume these fruits, nuts, vegetables regularly. We can't be erratic, especially if the patient is suffering from PCOS. There is extreme need that they are consistent about what they eat. These de-stress vitamins are also they also have a beneficial antioxidant effect, which in case of irregular periods, and menstrual disorders are also associated with low levels of vitamin D. And these days we aren't so much outdoor. Post pandemic, a lot of people work from home, and so there is less exposure to sunlight. So taking vitamin D supplementation is again a very good idea, because it's also important for uptake of calcium in our body. And if there is amenorrhea, caused by low estrogen levels may cause a risk of osteoporosis, which is weakening of bones. And then supplementation of vitamins and minerals like calcium, vitamin D, K, and the proteins is recommended, of course, to prevent these the fear of having osteoporosis or having weaker bones in early age as well. So my recommendation in case of vitamins is, of course, that they should be studied well and taken together in such a manner that, because a lot of vitamins complement each other, just as calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K supplement each other. Here we have so many, you have chromium, biotin, which can actually have beneficial effects in losing weight and insulin resistance. Very useful in case of patients having PCOS. So these could be consumed, and like I said, it's very important to hydrate yourself. So while we are hydrating ourselves, we could do a supplementation here, where we could, especially these hot summers, we have to make sure that we don't lose the electrolytes in our body, which is calcium, sodium, chlorine, potassium, magnesium. These are the electrolytes in our body. So essential for the so many processes in our body to go well. These are critical when it comes to the cell membranes. So the electrolytes, losing electrolytes is very easy in the summer. So supplement them. Along with that, if you could supplement the water soluble vitamins and minerals, maybe you can take a antioxidant along with it. If we can get a mixture of all this with water every day, starting a day with something like this, or even having something like this at 4 or 5 p.m. Is a good idea. So these are the major factors, and the other very important thing is omega-3 and phytoestrogens, which we can get from fish oil, and flaxseed could be a good vegetarian source, because these again induce a good anti-inflammatory effect along with the antioxidant effect. So it helps reduce the, of course, regularizing periods, but also reduce testosterone levels in those with PCOS, help improve mood and anxiety, reduce hair fall and acne. Flax seeds are an excellent vegetarian choice, like I said, but I would still recommend having fish oil or having fish, because the omega-3 fatty acids and the EPA, DHA we get from it is extremely important. The other sources of phytoestrogens are, of course, oats, moong beans, fennel, and pulses such as chickpeas. So phytoestrogens can actually also help in regularizing periods, as they work on beneficial estrogen receptors in the body and can contribute to hormonal balance. In fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines are the good ones, giving higher percentage of EPA, DHA, and chia seeds and walnuts are all rich sources of omega-3. And of course, walnuts, almonds can also be consumed for good oils. Then moving on to something which is again an area of my key interest area for me, because I really believe that if digestion is not complete, it can actually add a load or can even be a cause to diseases like so many different type of metabolic diseases that we have, especially PCOS. It can aggravate the inflammation in our body if we don't digest foods. The primary issue with consuming junk foods is that you can see that when you eat out, if you're eating spicy, if you're eating too much of maida, if you're eating all that junk, you feel acidic, you feel the acidity. Now, the acidity is actually because the food is not getting digested well as well. And at the same time, there is issue with constipation, or you feel bloated. All in these kind of situations, what is really happening is the food is not getting digested well. And if that happens, then it can actually aggravate your condition in case of PCOS. However, if all this is corrected over a long period, I honestly think there is good chances of reversing PCOS, and women can actually get rid of this painful, irritable situation that they have to face in their personal, professional, day-to-day life, and it can be really bothering. So Also remember that we eat a lot of carbohydrates because we saw our plate comprises of a lot of carbohydrates. And if that's the case, if you're going to eat about 50% of carbohydrates or more than that, then in that case, we need to digest them well. So if you're taking enzyme supplementation, which is actually a good thing to do, the carbohydrate, we should watch for the enzymes, if it contains the enzymes actually digesting the carbohydrates, and focusing on proteins because you're going to consume more proteins. So these two things are more essential when it comes to digestion. Fat digestion is not a huge issue in case of uh, uh, women having PCOS because they primarily are not suffering from any pancreatitis, etc. But they need an aid to actually digest the carbohydrates and proteins. And while you're consuming more fiber, which also you suggested, it can create a havoc and it can give you a lot of bloating. So, it's very essential some aid is provided by these supplements to also break down the complex fibers into simpler ones. So your motility improves, and at the same time it doesn't bother. So uh, you definitely should look at enzyme supplementation when it comes to your patients with PCOS. Look at anti-inflammatory nutrients when it comes to supplementation, and wisely choose your protein supplementation based on what amino acids it contains. And here's a quick, example of what could be a PCOS weight loss diet plan, where you could of course start your day with flakes, cereals. I actually recommend trying to eat proteins, which could, having eggs in the mornings if women are able to tolerate, eating vegetables along with it so that it gets balanced along with it so that they get a good protein input in the morning. Make sure they're able to digest it. If they're not able to digest it, aid it with something. Otherwise, make them eat half raw vegetables. This all helps in improving the digestion of proteins as well. Does not give them bloating or constipation. I recommend starting the day with that, followed by, of course, a fruit at around 11ish, if that's possible. Um, Take an anti-inflammatory supplement at this time because that can actually keep you going well the entire day. The remaining from 11, really your critical day starts. This will actually help keeping your inflammation at bay throughout the day. And then, of course, the lunch should comprise of a good vegetable or a salad along with having a curry, a dal, which will actually contain proteins. So a mix of that with of course chapati, or if you can use millets and make a bhakri, tepla, whatever you call it, that's a good idea as well. And it's very important to eat right in the evenings. At this time, if you can actually eat sprouts instead of having a typical bhel, which we people in Mumbai normally like to consume, instead of eating just bhel or eating any fried snacks. It's better to make a bhel out of your sprouts, and add some vegetables to it and make it interesting. Add good seasonings to it, and you can add a imli chutney to it and add onion and tomato to it. Add maybe a zucchini to it and make it more fancy and eat it. And for dinner, then of course, you could prefer, if you're overweight, then you could prefer a vegetable with a salad, as you can actually have a more balanced diet where you could also eat the rice at times. Do not completely stay away from it. You can eat small portions of rice or small portions of potato, but you have to keep it really small. You could actually even cheat yourself by replacing a potato with a cauliflower. So, these options are available, and this is exactly what we do in our practice. Tailor make the diets according to what the patients really like to eat, what are their routines, what are their schedules, what are the cuisines that they like, and accordingly, we make their diets, give them all 35 meals or all 30 meals, the number of meals that they need. All of them are designed specifically for them, given recipes which will make their food interesting, will keep their food tasty and not boring. So it's not really dieting, it's really eating right. And that's really what we need to do. And I think the most critical thing when it comes to PCOS is this: how to conquer emotional eating when you have PCOS, because your hormones are taking you for a ride. You're already putting on weight. Your guilt is already there, and then to stabilize your mind, you can always look at an ice cream or a chocolate or whatever. So how do you really keep yourself away? And here is where I think personal consultation, a proper nutrition counseling, so that you don't feel that bitch. You are given the right things to eat at the right time, so you know what you're supposed to. You can keep your meals ready inside your fridge, so that at that point in time you want to eat something cold, you can go and grab it from the fridge and eat. And at the same time, you're not eating an ice cream, or you're not consuming the wrong junk foods and calories. And for this, a good counseling is needed along with the nutrition plans. And very important for us to motivate our patients, make them trust us, because I think trust and faith is very, very important. That keeps the patients going. If we motivate them, if we are going to be on their side of the table, we are going to be able to do that. And that's how we can get them determined, get them to stay consistent with the plans that we make for them. So that's really what we practice here at Truwellth, and which is what I wanted to share with some of you who are here, joined us right now, and some of you who are going to hear us later online. So, I hope these were important insights, because we do a lot of evidence-based integrative health, personalized nutrition therapy with an holistic wellness approach. So while we do that, I thought it's very important to share these kind of insights with all of you here.